Factors that influence curriculum design.
If you're aware of the factors that influence curriculum design, you will be able to understand how the content you are teaching and the learning experiences to which the students are exposed have been selected.
You may also develop some insight into the methods you can use to deliver this content. Therefore, this unit will help you to understand the various factors that influence curriculum design. After completing this unit, you should be able to explain how the following influence curriculum design.
Political factors,
Social factors,
economic factors,
technological factors,
environmental factors.
education psychology.
This unit will cover the following topics.
Influence of politics on curriculum,
Influence of society on curriculum,
influence of economy on curriculum,
influence of technology on curriculum,
influence of environment on curriculum,
influence of education psychology on curriculum.
How political factors influence curriculum design.
How politics influences curriculum design and development starts with funding.
Both private and public educational institutions rely on funding for employing personnel, building and maintaining facilities and equipment.
It is important to acknowledge that education is essentially a political activity. The political climate prevailing in a state or country is very important in determining the type of schooling and curriculum for the young.
Education also has a political function in that it promotes ideologies which influence the power structure within society. It is noteworthy also that political forces, the most powerful of which are associated with the government of the time, are responsible for allocation of resources that are necessary to support a curriculum.
Hence, the need to take the politicians' views into consideration in curriculum planning. In addition, a curriculum worker is also likely to have a political and ideological stand in life that would influence his or her decision-making process in curriculum matters.
From your experience as a student and teacher, you may have noticed how politics influence education. This is why education is regarded as a political activity. National ideology and philosophy have a tremendous influence on the education system because
politics determine and define the goals, content, learning experiences and evaluation strategies in education.
curriculum materials and their interpretation are usually heavily influenced by political considerations.
Political considerations may play a part in the hiring of personnel.
Funding of education is greatly influenced by politics.
Entry into educational institutions and the examination systems are heavily influenced by politics.
The list above is not exhaustive, but it helps you to appreciate how politics influence curriculum design. Why is education viewed as a political activity? Give at least 4 reasons.
How social factors influence curriculum design.
When you examine the curriculum being offered in your country, one question you may need to deal with is the extent to which social factors or social considerations influence the design of the curriculum. Society has its own expectations about the aims and objectives that should be considered when designing the curriculum. It also has our perception of what the product of the school system should look like.
It is therefore necessary for curriculum designers to take into account these societal considerations. If this does not happen, the curriculum becomes irrelevant.
As you know, a number of religions coexist in countries in the SEC region. Your own community may include Christians, Muslims, Hindus and adherents of other religions. Their views must be considered when designing a curriculum.
In Zimbabwe, for example, subjects such as sex education and political economy have proved difficult to include in the curriculum because of the resistance from some religious groups.
These groups feel that including these subjects in the curriculum will undermine their belief systems. The same groups of people would not tolerate a curriculum that does not include religious and moral education.
The design of curriculum materials and their presentation should accommodate the culture of the society that the curriculum is seeking to serve. You should, however, be sensitive to the fact that the curriculum can be used to perpetuate inequities.
You may have a curriculum that is gender biased against female students because it includes instructional materials that portray negative attitudes towards women and girls.
It is therefore possible for culture to have both positive and negative influences on the curriculum.
Pause for a moment and consider the number of groupings in the society in which you live. These can be professional associations, cultural groups and religious organizations.
These groups can bring their views to bear on curriculum design. This is so because any curriculum of value must result from the broad consultation of a wide range of stakeholders. Social factors are very critical in designing a curriculum. Identify at least 2 social factors that should be considered when designing a curriculum.
How economic factors influence curriculum design.
One of the reasons why education is financed by governments is to improve the country's economy. Therefore, the national curriculum should concern itself with the requirements of the economy.
Perhaps you are wondering how the economy of the country affects the curriculum.
The students you teach will need to be employed. The skills needed by industry should be translated into the content and learning experiences of these students. The skills, knowledge base and attitudes required by industry should be developed in the classroom.
You might have noticed some advertisements for vacant posts in your local media. Employers have basic requirements.
Educational institutions find themselves working to meet these basic requirements academically and professionally. As you're reading this unit, you might be thinking of acquiring a higher academic or professional qualification.
This would enhance your upward social mobility. The market forces dictate what should be included in the national curriculum. It also subtly determines the quantity of learners at different levels.
As a teacher, you require classroom supplies such as
Textbooks,
charts,
equipment, and
chemicals for science experiments.
these materials are products of industry. Without these materials, learning is compromised. It is therefore crucial that serious consideration be given to economic demands when designing the curriculum.
how technological factors influence curriculum design.
The computer is the latest technological innovation that will have a significant impact on education and society. If you are not computer literate, you may feel that you are not up to date.
In your area, you may have noticed that a number of schools have introduced computing as one of the subjects.
The intention is to equip the learners with the requisite computer skills and knowledge. In addition to computers, other forms of electronic media are being used in teaching.
These have provided a variety of learning experiences and have facilitated individualized learning. Curriculum designers cannot afford to ignore technology and its influence on the curriculum.
How environmental factors influence curriculum design.
Over time, people have become insensitive to their surroundings and natural resources. This has affected the sky, the land and the sea. The end result is that humanity is being adversely affected by these inconsiderations.
Industrial wastes have polluted the world. For example, the ozone layer in the atmosphere, which protects us from harmful radiation from the sun, is being depleted. People want this redressed.
It is through education that remediation can be effected. Consideration for the environment must of necessity influence curriculum design to ensure the survival of future generations.
The influence of education psychology.
Apart from the factors detailed above, curriculum design is also influenced by education psychology.
Learning can be maximized by ensuring that activities and experiences are introduced at the most teachable moment. If the local economy required more miners, how would this influence the curriculum?
Summary.
Philosophy is indeed at the heart of curriculum development. It guides educators in formulating beliefs, arguments and assumptions and in making value judgments. It also helps provide a broad outlook in answering the question about what schools are for, what subjects are important, and how students should learn and what materials and methods can be used. This is, however, just a starting point. Since there is a strong political element involved in curriculum, it is important for educators to recognize which philosophy underlies the curriculum, and to decide how curriculum should support the education of students who will become members and leaders in society.
In designing a suitable and relevant curriculum, curriculum planners should always consider political, social, economic, technological and environmental factors and theories in the field of education psychology.
Reflection.
Do you think that the syllabuses and textbooks used in your schools adequately reflect your national ideology and the demands of your society? Name 4 of the factors that influence curriculum design.
Explain how any two of the factors influence the curriculum.